My child, Archangel Michael says, do not ignore this. Your red alert has arrived. It is no accident you are here. My beloved, your angel is screaming. He is not allowing you to skip this. If you walk away now, you will cry later. Congratulations. The heavens selected you. This is the last call before the door shuts. Something inside you paused the moment you started reading this, and that pause was not curiosity but recognition, because moments like this do not chase people, they call them, and if your heart feels heavy or alert right now, it is because this message was not meant to be found, it was meant to find you, and before you move any further, stay present and stay connected, because what follows is guidance meant to protect you, not entertain you. Archangel Michael whispers, your name is written in fire. But if you delay even one moment, that fire will be erased. Right now, as your attention sharpens and your thoughts slow down, a truth that has been hidden is preparing to surface, and someone you believed was distant or silent has been watching your steps carefully, not randomly, not accidentally, and when their move becomes visible, it will shake your understanding. So if this word is already touching you, make sure you remain subscribed and aligned, because the next revelation is not light, it is directional. Archangel Michael says, a storm has been circling you. But in the center of that storm, a miracle is waiting to rise. You have felt that pressure in your finances, your relationships, and your peace, yet what you did not see is that the storm was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to guard something precious with your name written on it, and this rescue is approaching now, not later, because timing matters and hesitation creates loss. My child, listen closely because this is not a casual message that you stumbled upon, it was written into eternity before this day began. Archangel Michael says, this moment is sealed with destiny, and if you skip it, you will regret it more than anything you have ever missed. Heaven is not speaking playfully to you right now, there is urgency because delay has consequences, and what you are hearing carries the power to shift your tomorrow, protect your household, and realign you with a miracle already released from the throne of God, which is why your spirit feels alert instead of calm. Beloved, you have felt the weight pressing against you through long nights, unexplained delays, broken promises, and doors that closed without explanation, and you questioned yourself in silence, thinking maybe you were forgotten or overlooked, but Archangel Michael reveals the truth that you were never rejected, you were hidden, you were never abandoned, you were preserved, and every tear you cried was counted. What felt like loss was actually protection, because heaven was preventing you from walking into traps that would have damaged your future, and what confused you then is beginning to make sense now as clarity replaces self-doubt. There has been movement behind the scenes, conversations you were not meant to hear, intentions masked as concern, and actions taken quietly, but heaven is exposing what was concealed, and not everyone around you carries clean motives, which is why discernment is being sharpened now. Archangel Michael says, stay connected. Do not wander away, for what is coming next is heavier than gold and sharper than fire. Remaining aligned in this season is not optional, because the messages unfolding now are part of your timing with heaven, and staying subscribed is not about habit, it is about positioning your spirit where revelation continues without interruption. God allowed pressure so truth could rise, because those who try to delay your progress, interfere with your finances, or speak against your name believed silence would break you, but heaven was recording every move, and what was blocked is about to arrive suddenly with clarity and restoration. Archangel Michael says, "Do not be deceived by the silence, for in stillness the greatest shifts are born." The quiet season you walked through was not abandonment but preparation, separating you from noise so your spirit could recognize this moment, because this is not an ordinary message, it is a divine alert marking the end of delay and the beginning of exposure. Darkness tried early because your destiny carries weight, and every attempt to confuse or slow you only confirmed how chosen you truly are, so stay aware, stay grounded, and stay aligned as the unfolding continues. If this message brought clarity or strength, share it with someone who needs direction right now, and if you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $10. No one attacks what carries no future, and the resistance you faced was never random, because if your calling were ordinary the enemy would have ignored you completely, but the fact that the pressure came from your own bloodline, that betrayal cut close, and that loss shook you deeply is proof that heaven marked you for something greater long before you understood who you were. Michael says, "The battle you faced was the prophecy of the victory that is coming, and hear this clearly now, because someone near you has been hiding their real intentions, not a stranger, not an outsider, but a familiar voice you once trusted, someone who smiled while jealousy leaked through their words, and that strange discomfort you felt around them was not imagination, it was truth trying to warn you before exposure arrived." Archangel Michael says, "Their actions are about to be uncovered, and what was whispered quietly will not stay hidden much longer, because when the mask finally falls it will shock you at first, but that shock will turn into relief, because freedom always follows truth, and you will finally understand why distance was necessary." Before you go any further, pause right here, because moments like this require attention, not distraction, and if these words are stirring something deep inside you, do not let this connection break. Michael says, "What is about to be revealed will be too heavy for a wandering soul to carry, which is why you are being urged to stay connected now, to remain aligned with this flow of revelation, because every message is a piece of a larger picture and missing one piece can blur the meaning of the whole." Beloved child, appearances have been lying to you, because where you see lack, heaven sees overflow, and where you see empty hands, God sees assignments already attached to your spirit. The issue was never absence of blessing, it was interference, delay, and theft by hands that were never meant to touch what belonged to you, and that is why Archangel Michael stands now with a flaming sword, cutting illegal contracts, breaking unseen chains, and restoring what was taken without permission. Get ready, because in the coming days some of you will receive sudden calls, unexpected opportunities, and open doors that logic cannot explain, and these will not be coincidences, they will be confirmations. Child, heaven revealed something important just now, because the very night you almost gave up, when you felt unseen and unheard, angels were sent to stand beside you. You believed you were crying alone in the dark, but heaven was recording every tear as evidence, every silent breath as prayer, and Michael says that cry moved heaven more than 1,000 spoken words ever could. Because you stayed when walking away would have been easier, because you endured when quitting felt justified, the record of your perseverance has now activated the release of what was held back, and this is not exaggeration, you will see the signs unfold in real time. There comes a moment in every chosen life when truth can no longer stay buried, when pretending becomes impossible, and when the pressure of destiny becomes impossible to ignore, and that moment is now. Archangel Michael stands beside you in this hour, not gently, but firmly, with focus and urgency, and he says, enough of delay, enough of deception, enough of stolen blessings. This is your red alert, and heaven will not allow you to skip this. What you thought was ordinary was actually an interruption sent to break a cycle that held you too long, and that tightness in your chest right now is not fear, it is recognition, because your spirit knows when destiny is speaking directly to it. Beloved one, the storms you survived were never meant to drown you, they were meant to cleanse you, and the betrayals you endured were not punishment, they were exposure. Every door that closed was heaven redirecting you, saying not this way, not with these people, not at this time, because had those doors stayed open, they would have led you into traps that would have cost you far more than you realized. Now Archangel Michael says, look back for a moment, not to relive pain, but to recognize the pattern, because every time you thought you lost, heaven was repositioning you quietly, breaking chains through broken relationships, protecting you through financial pauses, and using silence to separate you from voices that would have misled you. You felt abandoned, but you were never alone, because even at your lowest point, when you believed heaven had turned away, angels were surrounding you, recording your tears and carrying your sighs as prayers to the throne of God. You thought no one noticed your pain, but heaven did. You thought no one heard your cries, but heaven responded, and that is why this message has reached you now, because your endurance reached its limit. Michael says, the record of your endurance has tipped the scales, and what was delayed is now being released, so stay steady, stay aware, and stay aligned, because what unfolds next is not random, it is the answer moving into position. What was stolen is now being restored, and this is why you cannot look away, not now and not at this hour, because heaven is stepping into your timeline with a reversal so precise that it will rewrite what you thought was permanent. There is a caution tied to this release, and you must hear it with clarity, because not everyone walking beside you is walking for you, and Archangel Michael is exposing hands that pretend to help while secretly pulling you backward, faces that smile while hiding envy, and voices that sound kind but carry poison underneath their words. Do not be shocked when truth surfaces from places you trusted most, because heaven says, what is whispered in the dark will be shouted in the light, and though that exposure may sting for a moment, it will free you for a lifetime, because how long can chains pretend to be friends before they weaken your future? Beloved, Michael is cutting ties not to isolate you, but to realign you, because separation in this season is protection, and distance is making room for the right connections to finally reach you. Pause here and feel this moment, because if these words are pressing against your heart, you cannot afford to drift, and heaven is not releasing revelation in fragments meant to be lost halfway through obedience. Michael says, anchor yourself to the flow of these words so nothing slips away from you, because what is unfolding will not only explain what you have been feeling, but will also reveal the steps required to secure what heaven is placing into your hands, and missing the next alert would cost more than you realize. My child, heaven sees the battles you never spoke about, the nights when sleep avoided you, when your body was exhausted but your thoughts refused to rest. Fear spoke loudly in those moments, doubt sat close, and you assumed that struggling meant weakness, but heaven says those nights were proof of your strength, because even under pressure you did not surrender, you endured quietly, and endurance has now become your testimony. Michael says, the scars you carry are not signs of defeat, but medals of survival, and each mark on your soul proves that you were struck but never destroyed, bent but never broken, challenged but never claimed. Now the season shifts, because scars are not meant to remain forever, they are meant to announce survival before victory arrives, and the time has come for restoration to speak louder than pain. Do not be surprised when blessings arrive suddenly, because what heaven releases often looks like coincidence to those who were not paying attention. The money that was blocked will begin to move, the opportunity that was denied will reopen, the silence that confused you will finally break, and you will remember this moment and know it was not chance, it was alignment. When Michael speaks, movement follows, and when God commands, even time adjusts to obey, which is why this message could not wait and why you were not allowed to scroll past it. There is urgency here, because what is about to unfold in your life carries weight, and missing the instruction would delay what is already prepared. My beloved child, this moment feels different because it is different, and the reason you have felt stuck for so long is not because heaven forgot you, but because heaven was protecting you. You were never overlooked, never abandoned, never misplaced, because some blessings are too heavy to be released before the vessel is ready, and your destiny required maturity before manifestation. The delay you felt was not punishment, it was protection, because had God released what you asked for earlier, it would have crushed you under responsibility you were not yet prepared to carry. Now heaven says you are ready, and readiness is why this word arrived exactly when it did. The red alert you sensed was never a threat, it was a guarantee, announcing that waiting is being replaced by arrival, and anticipation is being replaced by manifestation. Beloved, understand this clearly, not every delay came from heaven, because some resistance came from hands that worked against you, from opposition that rose quietly, and from people who smiled while wishing for your fall. Your light exposed what they hid, your growth confronted their comfort, and your progress revealed their envy, which is why sabotage followed you even when you did nothing wrong. But Michael says, no more, because heaven has seen the manipulation, the stolen chances, the interference, and now a line has been crossed. The sword is drawn not for fear, but for order, not for chaos, but for justice, and those who touched what was not theirs will no longer be allowed to interfere. Stay steady now, because what is being restored will come quickly, and your responsibility is not to rush, but to remain aligned, aware, and ready for what heaven is finishing. What you believed was gone forever is returning multiplied, because heaven does not restore in portions, it restores in fullness, and those who try to bury your future will soon witness your rising without being able to stop it. My child, the heaviness you feel in your chest is not weakness and it is not imagination, it is spiritual resistance responding to the shift that is happening around you. The pressure when you wake up, the weight that follows you into certain rooms, the sudden exhaustion that hits when you try to pray or focus, none of this is random, it is evidence that forces have been attempting to silence what you carry, because if your destiny were small, there would be no reason to oppose you so aggressively. Michael says the battle is proof of the blessing, and the warfare you endured is evidence of the inheritance assigned to you. This is why you were not allowed to skip this moment, because understanding what heaven is doing now protects what is being released next, and missing this awareness would cost more than delay ever did. Beloved one, even now heaven is arranging miracles with your name already written on them. Some of you will wake up to phone calls that redirect your entire path, others will open messages that unlock doors you assumed were sealed, and others will see provision suddenly released that had been held back far longer than it should have been. Michael says, "It will be swift and it will be undeniable, and when it happens you will remember this word, not with surprise but with recognition, because prophecy is never sent to impress, it is sent to prepare, and you are being prepared for a breakthrough that reshapes your life from the foundation up." Pause right here and guard this connection, because heaven is releasing too much in this season for you to receive it halfway. Michael says, "Stay connected, stay awake, stay aligned, because what is unfolding has layers, and each layer carries instruction, clarity, and protection that builds upon the last." Beloved, heaven does not beg, but heaven does warn, and this warning is wrapped in love and urgency. My child, there is a voice from the other side reaching toward your spirit, not to frighten you, but to sharpen your awareness. A loved one you thought was gone sees what you cannot see, understands what was hidden from you, and knows who in your circle moved in shadows, who took advantage quietly, and who smiled while working against you. Heaven has allowed this awareness to rise now because the truth is ready to surface, and while revelation may hurt at first, it will heal what denial never could. Michael says, "Better the pain of truth than the poison of lies, better to be wounded by revelation than destroyed by ignorance." That stirring in your soul is confirmation, not confusion, because what has been concealed is reaching its limit and exposure is no longer optional. The tables are turning, and this shift will not be subtle. Those who mocked your struggle will lose their voice, those who dismissed your future will watch you rise, and those who tried to curse your name will stand silent as heaven blesses you openly. This is not revenge, it is divine order being restored. Michael says, "For too long you stood on defense, now heaven moves you forward in authority, because where you were once positioned as the victim, you will now walk as the victor, not for pride, but for testimony." Child, these blessings are not meant to elevate your ego, they are meant to reveal God's faithfulness to everyone who doubted your survival. Beloved, understand this clearly, you are entering a season where sudden movement defines your days. Sudden calls, sudden doors, sudden provision, sudden clarity, and you may barely have time to adjust before the next shift arrives, but do not fear the speed, because this is not chaos, it is fulfillment. Michael says, "What was stolen in years will be restored in days, and what was delayed for decades will arrive in moments." Do not measure what is coming by what you have lost, and do not assume tomorrow will resemble yesterday, because when heaven steps in, patterns break and cycles end. My child, heaven sees the weight you carry behind closed doors. The way you smile for others but release tears in private, the way you hold yourself together when no one knows how close you came to breaking, none of that has been ignored. Archangel Michael says, "Every tear you shed has been gathered, every sigh recorded, and every silent cry has reached the throne of God, and nothing that reached heaven will return empty." What is unfolding now is not random, it is response, and the season ahead will prove that endurance was not wasted and faith was not misplaced. Nothing about your pain was overlooked, because even when you felt invisible, heaven's attention never left you for a second, and what you mistook for silence was actually careful watching. Beloved, you were never forgotten, you were chosen, and the weight you carried was not punishment but preparation, because heaven does not pass ordinary souls through extraordinary fire unless something monumental is being formed inside them. Do not misunderstand your suffering, because it was never proof of abandonment, it was prophecy in disguise, pointing toward a breakthrough strong enough to justify the pressure you endured. My beloved, you were tested in ways that almost broke you, in moments where quitting felt reasonable and escape felt necessary, yet even then you kept going. You still prayed when your heart was exhausted, you still whispered God's name when your voice shook, and you still held on when logic told you to let go, and that persistence is exactly why heaven honors you now. Archangel Michael says, your endurance is the seed of your elevation, because what you refused to release has now positioned you for overflow, and none of your struggle was wasted or unseen. Every sleepless night, every unanswered question, every rejection that cut deeply was recorded as proof that you stayed standing, and now heaven is stepping forward in your defense. Right now names are being spoken in the courts of heaven, names of those who betrayed you, mocked you, and plotted quietly against you. You wondered why resistance came from familiar faces, why doors closed without explanation, why whispers followed you into rooms, and Michael reveals it was never paranoia, it was discernment responding to truth. Hear this clearly, their words will not destroy you, their jealousy will not trap you, and their schemes will not succeed, because heaven has drawn a line that cannot be crossed. This is not revenge, it is divine balance being restored, and the scales are tipping in your favor in ways you will soon witness for yourself. Beloved, some of you have struggled financially and questioned why provision slipped away so quickly, why effort did not produce harvest, and why opportunity stayed just out of reach. Listen closely now, because Michael says, there were spiritual blockages placed upon your provision, forces that tightened the flow, delayed release, and caused unnecessary strain, but those restraints are breaking. Even now angels are severing unseen contracts, tearing apart agreements you never signed but were bound by, and the result will be sudden and undeniable release. Watch carefully, because delayed payments will arrive, debts will dissolve unexpectedly, and new channels will open where none existed before. You were never designed to live in lack, you were designed for overflow, and what is coming will confirm that truth clearly. Pause here, my child, because if these words are stirring something deep within you, this is not the moment to drift or disconnect. Michael says these revelations arrive in layers, and missing one leaves you unprepared for the next, which is why staying anchored now matters more than ever. Remain connected, stay aligned, and allow each word to reach you in time, because heaven is not finished speaking, and missing what follows would cost clarity when you need it most. My beloved child, understand this mystery. The people who laughed at your struggle will soon witness your elevation. They thought your silence meant defeat, but heaven says your silence was strategy, and they mistook your tears for weakness when those tears were watering the soil of your miracle. They assumed you were finished, but you were only hidden until the appointed time, and now that time has arrived. Michael says, your unveiling is near, and those who underestimated you will have no choice but to watch you rise. This is not pride speaking, it is prophecy unfolding, because your blessing was never meant to stop with you. Your elevation will testify that heaven remains faithful, even when the process looks cruel. Prepare yourself now, because sudden shifts are approaching quickly. Doors you believed were sealed will open, relationships you thought were dead will be restored, and dreams you buried as impossible will stand up again. Michael says the pace will feel fast, but do not fear the acceleration, because this speed is not chaos, it is repayment. For every year you wept, joy will be doubled, for every season of lack, abundance will answer back, and for every delay you endured, heaven will compress restoration into moments. What is unfolding now is not imagination, it is response, and the season ahead will prove that your endurance was never wasted and your faith was never misplaced. You will reap abundance where you once scraped just to survive, and for every betrayal that cut you deeply, heaven is preparing new loyalty that will stand firm when it matters most. The days of barely holding on are closing, and a new season of divine overflow is opening, because you are stepping into days that will not resemble the nights you cried through, and heaven has watched long enough while you fought battles that were never meant to be yours. Archangel Michael has waited for this moment, restrained until the appointed time, and now that time has arrived, and he says, I have seen the injustice, I have heard the mockery, I have counted the delays, and enough is enough. Heaven is moving swiftly on your behalf, and even though you cannot yet see the full picture, you are standing at the edge of a complete reversal, so do not allow doubt to whisper that this is too good to be true, because if your spirit is trembling right now, it is truth pressing against you. The delay has ended, the hour of fulfillment has come, and no force of darkness can stop what heaven has already set in motion. Beloved, understand this mystery clearly. Sometimes God hides you in plain sight, allows others to overlook you, permits doors to close, and lets people misjudge your worth, not because you were unworthy, but because being seen too early can attract destruction before preparation is complete. The hidden season was never loss, it was a cocoon, and now Michael says the cocoon is breaking and the unveiling has begun. The one they ignored will soon be honored, the one they overlooked will now be sought after, and you will no longer chase opportunity, because opportunity will recognize you and pursue you instead. The shame of being unseen is being exchanged for the honor of being appointed, and this is the reversal heaven designed for you. But hear this as well, heaven is not only working for you, it is also exposing for you, because there were conversations behind closed doors, careless whispers of your name, and deals made in shadows meant to redirect what belonged to you. Michael says, nothing was missed, every plot was recorded, every whisper written, every scheme weighed, and the verdict has now been delivered. Those who touched what was set apart for you will face the consequence of their actions, and you will walk away not diminished, but restored, because what was stolen is not only coming back, it is coming back multiplied. Beloved one, even if you feel weary from how long the struggle lasted, heaven says your strength is about to rise like morning light after a long night. Your faith was tested, but it did not fail, and even in moments when you nearly gave up, when you whispered that you had nothing left, heaven did not condemn you, it strengthened you. Michael says, your survival alone proves your calling, because you should have been destroyed, yet you were preserved. You will not speak from theory, you will speak from testimony, and that testimony will free others who are trapped where you once stood. Pause here, beloved, because if this word has ignited something inside you, you must not disconnect now. Michael warns, revelation comes in waves, and stepping away between waves causes loss, which is why staying connected matters in this hour, because instructions are coming, confirmations are approaching, and clarity is being released layer by layer. Do not allow distraction to rob you of what heaven is delivering for your survival and your future. Child, the patterns that repeated in your life are breaking right now. You will no longer move from disappointment to disappointment, loss to loss, betrayal to betrayal, because the cycle is ending, the chains are falling, and what followed your family line stops with you. Michael says, the ground beneath you is shifting, and what once rejected you will now make room for you. You will feel this change not only around you, but within you, because your sleep will deepen, your peace will return, your clarity will sharpen, and those subtle shifts will confirm that heaven has moved you into a new dimension. Beloved, be prepared, because not everyone who started with you will walk with you into what comes next. Some will leave, others will be removed, and painful as it may feel, do not cling to what heaven is cutting away. Michael says, better to lose a false companion than to lose your destiny, better to release what cannot rise with you than to miss what is waiting ahead. Trust the separation, trust the pruning, and trust the hand of God that sees further than you can, because heaven is not taking from you, it is protecting you. Those who cannot handle your blessing cannot walk with you into your breakthrough, and releasing them makes room for alignment. Beloved, receive this final truth now, miracles will not trickle into your life slowly, they will arrive in waves, and the only thing required of you is to remain steady, aware, and willing to walk forward when heaven opens the way. They will not arrive slowly, they will flood your life one after another, door after door, opportunity after opportunity, and some moments will feel overwhelming until you remember that you prayed for this, you cried for this, you waited for this, and now it has finally arrived. Michael says, the heavens have been unlocked and the rain will not stop until your dry ground is satisfied, so expect it with confidence, anticipate it with faith, and prepare your heart for it, because favor will come through unfamiliar faces, systems will shift in your favor, and what was impossible yesterday will become possible tomorrow, not by chance but by divine signature. My child, do not confuse the silence you endured with absence, because silence was preparation and not abandonment. Heaven works behind veils and in hidden chambers so that when blessing finally breaks forth, no one can question its origin, and that is why what is coming will carry a weight that no human explanation can hold. Archangel Michael says, you thought you were forgotten, but you were being fashioned, you thought your life was paused, but your destiny was being prepared. That is why doors stayed shut, opportunities slipped away, and even loyal voices grew distant, because it was never punishment, it was preservation, and what heaven is releasing now could not survive in the soil where you once stood. Beloved one, not every delay was warfare, some delays were protection disguised as denial. If every prayer had been answered when you demanded it, the weight of blessing would have crushed you, but Michael reveals God was strengthening you, building endurance in your spirit that comfort could never teach. The tears that burned your eyes, the loneliness that hollowed your chest, and the nights where hope flickered were not wasted, they were carving space inside you for glory. Heaven says, the shaping is complete and the pouring is next, but stay alert now, because as blessings approach, resistance will attempt one last distraction through whispers, envy, and misplaced fear. Michael says, do not panic, I have gone before you, and every plan formed against you will collapse before it reaches you, every word meant to wound will fall powerless, and every curse will reverse without touching your life. Beloved, remain steady, because this battle has already been claimed by heaven and no longer belongs to you. Now hear this mystery clearly, generational patterns that once wrapped around your family are breaking with you. Cycles of poverty, betrayal, sickness, and failure believed they had a permanent address in your bloodline, but Michael declares the chain ends with your name and the curse expires in your generation. From this point forward the story shifts. Your children will not carry what you carried, your household will not repeat what you endured, because you were chosen as the breaker, the first, the one who rewrites the line. Pause here, beloved, because if these words are striking your spirit like thunder, you must not detach now. Michael warns, this word is alignment and each part builds upon the next, so stay connected and anchored, because what comes next will not only confirm what you feel but reveal steps you must take to secure what heaven is opening. Child, the ground beneath you is moving and your spirit senses it before your eyes can see it. That uneasiness, the sudden changes in people around you, the awareness that something is about to happen are spiritual tremors, signs that what was gestating in the unseen is ready to be born. Michael says it is like the moment before rain when the air grows heavy and creation itself prepares for release. You are standing in that moment now, and when heaven's rain breaks, it will not drizzle, it will pour with force and purpose. Beloved, I see the weariness in your bones, but I also see the strength that kept you standing when others quit. Many faced less pressure and gave up long ago, yet here you are still breathing, still listening, still reaching for heaven, and that endurance alone is evidence of your calling. Michael says, the enemy tried to bury you, but you became a seed, and the more pressure applied, the deeper your roots grew, and now it is time to rise beyond the soil of obscurity into visibility. What was hidden will be revealed, what was buried will bloom, and what was overlooked will be crowned in its season. Beloved one, understand this clearly, heaven is releasing blessing but it is also releasing responsibility. Michael says, what you receive is not only for comfort but for calling, because provision will come to fund purpose, influence will come to lift others, and opportunity will come to glorify God through your obedience. Handle the overflow with humility and wisdom, remain anchored to the giver and not the gift, and what begins as restoration will continue as multiplication without end.